Welcome again. I'm Dr. Pauline Baird. I've been telling stories about my village, about our family histories, our practice, hidden, sometimes long forgotten traditions, and our whispered stories. As a girl from the village, I hadn't only lived in the village. I've lived in so many places, and one of the most fascinating places I've lived is Palau in the Pacific. Palau is one of the world's most beautiful places. They call it the seventh or the eighth wonder of the world. It has its beautiful rock islands and the 70 islands. They're a wonder to see. The underwater is beautiful, and the people are just as beautiful or even more beautiful. Shout out to the Palauans and the kids from PMA. Hail up. So, welcome, and what does story say? Last time I told you about how I learned to eat sashimi, and don't get it twisted, sashimi and sushi are different. I told you how I learned to clean fish and how to eat fish from a different culture. I learned how they prepared fish, and that's just one way of preparing fish. They have so many ways of preparing fish. People are from different clans, and different clans have different ways of preparing fish for their functions and so on. So that is not the end all and be all on fish stories. I could regale you with stories that go from here to where. So anyway, I want to tell you now about another experience in Palau. And Palauans have as much water or more water than their roads, because these islands, the main islands, are connected by causeways, and everywhere you look you can see the ocean. Out your window you see the ocean, you're driving you see the ocean. The ocean is right alongside you on both sides if you're crossing a causeway. Now, I used to go to the rock islands. They're beautifully shaped islands coming out of rock, coral rock, and they're shaped to me like broccoli. Like nature just manicured them like that. Awesome. I lived there 9 years and I've never gotten used to the beauty of the place. And I want to tell you about my experiences on boats. Because in the village, the only boats I knew was the back dam canoe, the wooden canoe that come up the company trench, or the brush dam trench. Not no boats with Yamaha engine and stuff. So I used to go out on this boat with different people to go fishing or go to the island, like the High Chief Island, Yamalis. They have another island called Two Dog Island or Babalamangang. And we used to go to these islands and have picnic and things. You know, when you're in the village, you go on tour, you go on a bus. But when you're in the islands, you're going to a picnic on the island, you're going in a boat. Little picnic, bigger picnic, woman, everybody. They're going on this island. And let me tell you, don't dress up. You're in your shorts and your t-shirt to bare your foot and so. And so we're going on this boat. One time, we were going on this boat to this island. No, we were coming back from an island. And rain had set up. And I thought to myself, well, these people gonna wait till the rain pass. Not so. We get in this boat. And there was a man named Francis Toribio. Let me tell you, master navigator. Me, I go up on any boat Francis then because me trust Francis. And Francis driving this boat and his children in the boat and so. When the boat start to go, I tell you, I get a full appreciation of Jesus and the storm from the Bible. You see, when this wind start to blow and this rain start to fall, this little boat go up so. And when I look down, if you see the cavern at the bottom and this boat go down so. And this boat come up so. And let me tell you, you see when this boat go down, you go baps. So you got to brace yourself. You sit down on this boat because me little bams, it again plenty meat, you know. Let me tell you, you see when the boat go down, you hold on so and you go brap. And you go up again and you go brap. And let me tell you, 40-foot waves. May I kid you? When you see the up on these waves and you look bottom up there, you say, oh Lord, me appreciate Jonah and the storm. And the Jonah and the whale. Me don't know how Jonah get in a whale at the bottom of the ocean. Me don't know how Jesus and the disciples left a boat. But let me tell you, Palau give me an appreciation. You see, hold on, so you grip your teeth, your jaw out you. And meanwhile, Francis not stopping, you know. Francis going. He knows when to cut into the waves. He knows when to ride the waves. And that's a master navigator. He knows when to ride the waves. Sometimes they're talking to each other and they're saying, they're pointing so. One time, rain so white. white. You can't see nothing in front of you. I said, Lord have mercy, yeah, me not come from this land of many waters for die somebody else's waters. But Francis kept going. And mind you, me a girl can't swim. Me only know to swim a trench. This is a Pacific Ocean. Wide, wide, wide. You can't even see nothing but horizon. Nothing. And when the rain start to fall, let me tell you, it beating down. And it's pure white. And Francis wouldn't stop. And I hear them talking and they pint. How them a pint? Them a pint and say go so? They ain't see nothing but they tell you where to go. And soon enough, you got to trust the masterman at the helm. And they drive in that boat and they keep going and they keep going and they're going. And next thing you know, all of a sudden you come out of this real rough 15 minutes. All of a sudden, boom, you come out of this squall and as if you never experienced a storm. All of a sudden, it's peaceful and calm. And when you look up, Koror, the capital, is right ahead of you. Right ahead of you. I used to wonder how these men know how to navigate the oceans. You see, they used to navigate the oceans by the stars. And since they're little, they learn how to do that. They know how to drive the boats, they know how to navigate. You know, I talked to one of my students, Fern, and Fern said, you know, her mother would go on the boat and they would be driving and so on. And then she would see her mother looking straight ahead. And the mother would just point to the left or the right and say, there's fish over there. And she's like, you didn't even look. How you know there's fish over there? They're so used to the ocean, they know what to read. Her mother would tell her, you know, this is a good time to come back tonight to fish. And she's like, how do you know? She said, I know it from the ocean, I can read the ocean. She's like, I never saw you pick up any chart or any almanac to tell about that. But they don't have to. They know by looking at the water. They know the height of the water. They know how the tide is going. All those kinds of things. When you know your culture, you know to read the land. And you know, in our culture, we have a saying, stranger and no burial ground. Stranger don't know the bad parts. The people of the land know the good parts and they know the burial ground. They know the important things to avoid and to do. I remember one time I went out with the High Chief Ibadul and we started off at his dock and he said, you want to drive? And he's got a really nice boat. He had several boats. And he said, I said, yes. And we started. He showed me how to operate the thing. And then I said, how do you know where you're going? How would I know where I'm going? And that's when he stood behind me and he said, you see that island ahead of you that's jutting out? You drive straight to that. And I started driving. He showed me the landmass. And I started driving. And believe me, people, I might not be able to swim my life, but I could drive a boat like nobody's business. I mean, fast boats. That's for your girl. And so I would get the boat and drive. And then he started to teach me the ocean. He said, look, you see where it's green here, like emerald green, and you can see the white, it looked like very clear, and you can see down the white. He said, that's shallow. You got to bring the engine up. And then we'll go further, and it becomes aqua, and it's getting deeper. And when it's deep navy blue to almost to black, that's very, very deep, and I can just open and go. And I would open up and I would drive this boat. And when I got to a certain part, when I think I reached that part where the edge of an island is jutting out, it looked like one of the islands looked like a man sleeping. And I could drive to his legs. And I would drive them. When I got around there, he would say, okay, you go straight to, there's another opening. And as we would go, he showed me the landmarks and the landmarks and the landmarks. And imagine if the High Chief Ibdul was doing that for his entire life. They don't need to have any maps, you know, it's almost an embodiment. They know how to work with the land, and the land means the water and the air and everything else. And there's certain parts we would stop and we would feed the fish, and people would jump out in their scuba gear or their snorkel and mask and look down and see stuff. I couldn't always experience that because I wasn't a swimmer, but I got the experience of driving the boat. And when we get to the island, I remember one time we had a school picnic, and our picnics are always on an island and has to do with water. And the kids would jump out the boat. And as soon as they jump out the boat, you didn't have to tell them. They would line up all the way to the island, and they would take the food out and put it on their heads and pass it one to the other, to the other, to the other, until it got on the land. And by then the old people would have gone out to the island, or the older people or the big children, and they would tell them where to put things on the island, because they have summer huts on the island or summer houses on the island. And that's how we would organize. And I remember one day when we were done organizing, this same Fernanda and some other kids, they took me, they said, "Come Baird, come." And they called me Baird, "Come Baird," and I went with them. And they were laying down on the water, looking down and, like dunking and diving under and stuff. And then Fern said to me, "Baird, you see that blue fish? You see that pretty one?" I'm like, "What blue fish?" She said, look, it's there." And I could see from the top of the water, I could see the fish. And she said, "No, you have to put your head down and you look at it under the water." But I didn't have any mask on or snorkel or anything. And I said, "Fern, but I don't have mask or snorkel." She said, "You don't have to have mask or snorkel. Just open your eyes in the water." I said, "In the water?" She said, "Yeah." Now, I'm thinking that if I open my eyes in the water, my eyes going to burn me. But this water is very, very salty. I mean, it's so salty that it's bitter. And, but I decided to try what this kid is telling me. And so I lay down on the water, floating face down, put my head down, open my eyes. People, experience of a lifetime. I saw all of what's going on under there. Little creatures, fish. Some of these fish are like iridescent. Some of them you can see through their bodies. You can see the dorsal fin. You could see the little nerve thing that goes through the back. You could see the lateral line. You could see organs in their body. I mean, nature is wonderful. I could see little crabs, little other sea creatures going iridescent green, blue, like electric blue, neon yellow. You could see angelfish. You could see all kinds of stuff with my bare eyes. And the water is as warm as ever. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that a girl from the village could experience this with very ordinary people of Palau. These are not people with airs and graces, but these are people welcoming and with their beautiful land that they were willing to share. And the kids, allowed me to enter into experiences I would not have had I not gone to a place like Palau. So this is how I traveled. And to the kids that are listening to me, these can be your experiences too. You don't have to think that because you're a girl from the village, you can't experience things that other people have experienced. There's hope, and there's life, and there's faith, and there's ambition and aspiration. And so from me to you, take a chance in life. Broaden your horizons, because cultural experiences do just that. They broaden our horizons. We learn to appreciate others. We learn to understand that differences are good, because differences teach us about other people. And we learn how to be more generous and broad-minded people. And so we go through life being multifaceted and multi-experienced. So that's what I have to offer you. So if you have stories like this, let me talk the things. What kinds of experience have you had abroad in your travel book that have changed your life? Walk good.